Hi.
We're going to get right into it.
Let's do it.
Daily Stoics. March 25th. Look at how
Wow.
brief, that's the word I was
Brief.
looking for.
Wow.
Brief today's entry is. Let's see what we got. So we are on March 25th, and the name of today's lesson is Wealth and Freedom Are Free. Wealth and freedom are free.
Wealth and freedom are free. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Epictetus has a quote for us today, and it is, "Freedom isn't secured by filling up on your heart's desire, but by removing your desire." Freedom isn't secured by filling up your heart's desire, but by removing your desire.
That's the short one.
Yeah, we still have Ryan's
Yes.
commentary, but
that's
that
it
is
for
the
that.
quote.
Mhm.
This theme of desire, because the other day we were talking about greed and ambition
Mhm.
and that mechanism of wanting things inside, and how that mechanism
Mhm.
is a survival mechanism because we have to want some things in order to stay alive. But then it can be not calibrated correctly, and we can end up wanting things in a way that we don't need them to stay alive, and then it makes our lives worse because of it.
Right. Well, I think that that's the distinction between wants and needs. There's definitely, like, I look at the things that I need, not necessarily like, yes, I want to eat because I'm hungry, but if I don't eat, it's like my existence is going to, like, it's a survival mechanism, right? But like the wants of, like, well, I want to go on vacation, like, well, if you don't go, you're not gonna die. This is not like existence threatening thing, right? And so I think that, again, this is talking about like removing the desires is not removing the needs. It's removing the wants. And then where is the distinction? Well, yeah, it's different for every one of us, because something we categorize into need, and something is now in excess, and now we consider that as want or something else than a need. And it's that line seems fluid to me depending on who you're talking to. So it's like it has to be determined internally in each of us to say, where is the need versus where is the want, and now being free is really working on not wanting those things, those wanted things so much. Again, I don't think it's a problem to want something, like setting up a goal, even though the goal is not necessarily aligned with your survival or like your need, but maybe it's aligned with some sort of a wanting to. Interesting, because that makes me think of like the need of having a self-esteem.
Like
let's
in
say.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's like a goal is actually in Maslow's
There's
hierarchy.
a hierarchy.
Of needs.
It's a little up there. It's a little higher up.
It's not a survival
It's
need.
not a survival need, but once all of these needs are met, these become the priority to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is where I get into trouble with this kind of stuff, is it relies on each one of us to be the own decider of what is fulfilling my need versus what is this extra want on top of it.
I as you said that, I just smiled, because like you said, like it's onto each one of us, and I'm like, thank God. That's like thank God it's up to me and not up to anyone else, right? Like, I get it. It's hard to actually go in here and go figure that out, but Jesus Christ, thank you so much that it's actually only up to me and not really about that surrounding. Because if that was about the surrounding, well, then I can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't. This is up to you, bro. Like, you can actually go do things.
And so another theme that comes from these guys is that idea of self-deception and how tricky self-deception is. And like on one hand, yes, it's so great that it is up to me and it's not up to anybody else, because that puts the power back in my hands. And then I also need to, my next step is like, well, make sure you're not lying to yourself about this. Make sure you're not deceiving yourself about this. And so I like that you brought in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because I think that pyramid, and if you don't know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs are, like a Google search will bring up like the pyramid of the different levels of needs. I think there's like 5 levels or something. And that may be helpful for me, because sometimes when I think about needs, I think about them on this purely survival level thing, you know, of like, well, do I need to put out this podcast, this daily Stoic podcast? Well, no, like it's not for my survival. I don't.
I would argue that yes, you do. Actually.
But then if I put it into the Maslow's hierarchy, it's like one of the top 2 levels of like esteem or fulfillment or that sort of thing. Then I'm like, oh yeah, it's like, it's right up there, right in the sweet spot, right in the pocket of that. So that makes sense for me.
And it's also it's interesting to like look at that pyramid of that the hierarchy of needs to realize where you are in it.
Right,
because you might be like you might be looking at some things and like, psh, whatever, dude, I got food, like just go buy food, like you don't even think about it, right? And then you go, oh my god, but I cannot get organized. Why can't I get organized? This is so bothering me.
Or my relationships are a mess.
My family or my relationships are a mess, but I can get food. It's no problem, right? Okay, well now if you look at that. Oh, family, friendships, relationships are right in smack in the middle of it. If you're having problems with that, that's where you are. You are in there. You're discovering of how to get better with people, how do we get a relationship with intimacy, with all of the people type of interactions, relationships, right? Once you have those and you feel like, oh, I have friends, I have family, I have loved ones, I have all of this surrounding. I'm not saying that taking it for granted, but it's almost like it's like the food now. It's like, yeah, the food is there, yeah, the family's there, like it's like of course.
Yeah.
Where am I then in that pyramid? Well, then you probably are above the family, whatever is over there now, right? Which is the esteem, self-esteem, and goal setting and achieving something that's not like make this much money. No, some goal, achieving something that you internally maybe feel like I was put on this planet to do this thing. I'm very successful at it. I'm doing it. I like it. It all points into yes, right? So now you're in there. Now, if you're down here and you're trying to reach this, it's going to be very difficult because you have all these other things that need to be almost hierarchically
right.
put in place before you can start working on it. Right. There's no jumping in there, right?
Well, and that's like,
and there might be a little bit of jumping, but it's not this like, oh, I'm just going to jump 3 layers and start focusing on my self-esteem while I don't have food on my table.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
Francis Lucille had said something. I remember him saying that in satsang one time. He was like, well, don't go on a spiritual path if you don't have money if you don't have a way of bringing an income for yourself. Like you have to solve the income problem first. Right. And then you can get interested in your spiritual development.
And then that spiritual development and self-development, that's all
at the top.
At the high, it's not at the top, but it's towards the top of it.
I think the spiritual one is the very top.
Might be very top. Yeah. I mean I think that the very top is kind of like the very top is not necessarily like another goal. It's the achievement of it. The like it says like the top, very top, it said something like fully realized person or something, like somebody who is like all of my needs are met all the way to the top.
Right? And that's what I kind of am pointing at with spiritual.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely up top somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So the hierarchy of needs is actually kind of helping me tie up some of this, not just from today's entry, but from even the previous few days, because we were talking about, well, what is greed and when does it stop being something I need and it starts being something greedy. And then even today is removing your desire. Well, I can't remove everything because then I'm not getting out of the bed in the morning and I'm just going to starve to death in my bedroom. So like there has to be some desire there. And so I'm trying to understand what the nuance that he's like really trying to drive at. And maybe the nuance that he's driving at here is like, don't want extra shit from your pyramid. Even like, I know what level of the pyramid you're at. So if you're at the level of the pyramid where I just need to get income, then like Francis said, I shouldn't be focusing on my spiritual development. That will actually like produce more pain and misery.
Yeah, because you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Level of my needs.
Yeah,
so like focus
and trust yourself. Like, oh, that will be there.
Once
it's
I get
just
this,
a prioritization
right.
of that thing.
So like and so it doesn't make sense for me to want something at a higher level of the pyramid than the level that I'm at. So make my way through the layers of the pyramid. And then as I'm making my way through that, to notice what's extra. Like what do I want that doesn't really make sense in this structure that's a little bit like, I'm just like vying for status, or I'm vying to be for some power that I don't need actually, or something like that. And then maybe that's what he's saying of like, this is where your freedom is, you know, like you're here, you're alive, you want to enjoy your time on this planet. So you need to want things and do things and get things, but you don't want to drive yourself crazy with wanting.
Or even if you don't get it, then you're punishing yourself for not getting it, and you're calling yourself maybe stupid or not good enough, and blah blah blah, all the stuff. So that's a good one, man. Yeah, this is all like it's already in us. It's not like, oh, this will come one day. It's already there. It's just like not developed yet or not understood yet fully. And so going through I was thinking about the how Jay, your boss, was saying during that podcast that he had, like how he was like, oh, I was like right from the get-go, I learned how to be in that section of the pyramid where self-esteem, goal-orienting, getting things done, tracking data, making sure that you're doing reviews, you're organized, fully involved in this thing. Like he went really heavy into that, and the family and the friendship was taking a back seat from that hierarchy, right? And so now he needed to adjust and say, oh, hold on, I'm too heavy in one section, and I'm completely super light in here.
Because it's a pyramid, actually.
It's a pyramid.
And the foundational of it is like, do you have food?
They have to hold the things above it, so like, they have to be strong.
So your family is then the foundation for your work that comes on top of that, and then your work is the foundation for your fulfillment. Yeah. Like, am I fulfilled? And you don't need to find your fulfillment in work, but you need work to be a bigger component than your fulfillment on top of it, whether you derive your fulfillment from work or from side hustles or hobbies or whatever the F, you know? But that is interesting. This is the first time I've thought about like the heaviness of each level of the pyramid. Because it is true, like the moment you don't have food, like that's the very bottom layer of the pyramid, the moment you don't have food, nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. And it's interesting because like if you think about it like a structure, like a house, the foundation of the house is the heaviest, the most sturdy, the most like supporting thing, and then everything gets built on top, right? And maybe your chimney or some things on your roof are not as heavy, they're very light, and not maybe very sturdy, maybe sturdy to like wind and rain and stuff, but maybe not as sturdy to hold things, right? And now you say like, okay, well, my foundation cracked. If you're not dealing with that crack, all kinds of things above it are gonna get destabilized, right? And so it's the same thing. Like, hey, I lost my job. If I'm not gonna go deal with that, it's towards the bottom of those hierarchies, right? So that's a heavy thing. That's a very supporting a part of that hierarchy. So I need to go really attend to it and fill it. Because if I leave that empty too long, now whatever is above it, trust me, it's gonna start crumbling down into that thing. It won't be able to hold itself. And so, it's knowing where you are, with different things inside of that hierarchy, I think it's like super important visually to understand of where you actually are.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's hear what Ryan has to say.
Let's do it. Yeah.
He has like 5 sentences for us. Were you getting tired on this one, Ryan? There are 2 ways to be wealthy: to get everything you want, or to want everything you have. Which is easier right here and right now? The same goes for freedom. If you chafe and fight and struggle for more, you will never be free. If you could find and focus on the pockets of freedom you already have, well, then you'd be free right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting because his commentary, I'm getting more of a flavor of gratitude from it than I did from Epictetus's quote, which is like, focus on the things that are going right and be thankful for them, and those will kind of naturally expand, and then that will turn into your experience too, because if you're focusing on the things that are going right, then it feels like you're already free, like things are already pretty good, and it doesn't feel so disastrous or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And the wealth is the same thing. It's like if you desire the things that you already have, if you appreciate the things you already have, what is there? Yeah, there's almost like it's almost like the part of our brains that want new things are potentially connected to the place of gratitude, right? And so if we don't have gratitude for the things we already have, we think we don't have enough, and therefore we need more.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that starts that mechanism of driving, like I want more, I want a bigger house, bigger car, big that, right? But like if you have that gratitude, maybe that mechanism gets fulfilled with it. You say, hey, hold on, I have a nice house, I have a nice car, I have a nice family, I have a nice job,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing all of that. You know, is it all perfect? No, but we're working on it, but this is great. Oh, that mechanism of I want, no, I need this. It's maybe like, oh, no, you don't need as much. Set up goals, but you don't need this like, oh my God, I need it, I don't have enough. No, this is great.
Right.
This is already great. Thank you.
It's
right?
easy to focus on like the part of the pyramid that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm doing that, I forget that actually the majority of the pyramid has already been built up around it. And so
built up and being continuously supported and rejuvenated. So you have mechanisms.
There's feedback loops in there.
Yeah, if something drops off, hey, that's a problem. I gotta go fill that. You know, so you have that figured out as far as like how to prioritize the issues in the pyramid, and you keep checking it. Is again, the more frequently you check it, the more on target you are, or something like that. Not like every 5 minutes.
Good daily Stoic entry.
Very good. Yeah.
Want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
In the comments.